My God, what would happen? What would happen if blacks as a people would begin to overcome the obstacles that sociologically and politically and economically limit us? What would happen? What would happen? Just think for a minute, y'all. A world devoid of poor black people. Can y'all imagine that? A world devoid of poor, troubled blacks.
Now, there was an article from Business Insider Africa that I was reading, and there are some statistics that were quite mind-boggling. It says that millionaires are mostly white, showcasing yet another example of racial wealth gaps in America. Nearly 86% of millionaires are white. That's not constrained to just millionaires. According to the Federal Reserve, a typical white family's wealth dwarfs that of typical black and Hispanic families, with the white family's wealth 6 and 5 times higher, respectively. So this shows you that the wealth gap that exists in American society is such that blacks and Hispanics are very poor compared to whites. So here is the question. What if this thing was reversed and that blacks are the ones who are more wealthier than the whites? How would things work? This is what Dr. Ray Hagins is talking about in this lecture. I want you to listen to it so that you get to understand how things would work out. Let's watch this, then come back and share our thoughts together.
The subject for today is this. It's a challenge that I want to present to you. And here's the question. Who loses if blacks win? Who loses if blacks win? After a careful, intense, analytical probe into the devices that have been strategically put in place to secure the perpetuation of our condition as black people in this society, I've come to the conclusion that it is not, I repeat, it is not in anyone's interest for blacks to ever leave the sinkhole of poverty. It is not in anyone's interest for blacks to ever form a powerful, healthy business class. It's not in anyone's interest. And it certainly is not in the interest of those who are part of the immense social service industry, such as the endless stream of social workers out there. If blacks ever get themselves together as a corporate body, a lot of people will be out of work. Counselors, a growing number of experts will be out of a job.
Yes, sir.
As painful as it is to admit, brothers and sisters, and it's painful to say what I'm about to say, it's not even in the interest of civil rights organizations.
All right. Come on.
We have the NAACP, National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. For those who don't know the historicity of that organization, let me drop it on you right quick. It's not a black organization. It never was and never will be. It was founded by Jews, a man named Jacob Schiff, S-C-H-I-F-F, who also is the founder of the Anti-Defamation League, same person. It was founded by Jews, it's owned by Jews, and it's still run by Jews. But so that we will think it's an organization for us, they put black folk out front to operate it. It's black operated, but it's not black owned. Then we have the Urban League, and I could say similar things about that organization as well. And I don't want to bust anybody's bubble here today, because I know some people have taken out life memberships in these organizations, and I don't want to, rain on your glory, but I gotta tell you the truth. These so-called civil rights organizations, the new Black Panther Party, National Action Network, that's the chairman and president of that is Alfred Sharpton. Y'all know him as Al Sharpton. See, I remember when he was Minister Alfred Sharpton at Washington Temple Church of God in Christ in Brooklyn, New York. We have, even right here locally, we have our own UAPO. We have the American Association for Affirmative Action, Southern Christian Leadership Conference, the SNCC, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, oh man, CORE, Congress on Racial Equality, NBUF, National Black United Front, and I could go on and on and on and on with all of these civil rights organizations whose administrators, hear what I'm saying now, whose administrators justified their financial stratagems and fundraisers to meet their operating costs and overhead, which they may or may not have. The end of a black underclass. Good Lord have mercy. The end of a black underclass would not be in the best interest of academics. Believe it or not. You see, y'all, it's the black underclass who provides the content for the theses, for the monographs. It's the black underclass that provides the contents for the doctoral dissertations. It's the black underclass that provides the content for articles in various journals and magazines and books and courses on sociological perspectives in urban America. It's the black underclass that feeds all that and gives them something to do. And we must be sure to understand that a strong black business class is certainly not in the interest of politicians, whether they are black or white. You see, here's how it goes. The black politician, follow what I'm saying. I hope this is what I'm saying making sense so far? The black politician especially is dismayed by the prospect of a strongly developed class of black entrepreneurs who can speak for and represent themselves. See, because if you have some black people who are powerful enough to speak for themselves and represent themselves adequately and efficiently, then there's nothing for the black politician to do. So it really would not be in the best interest even of black politicians for there to not be a black underclass. My God, what would happen? What would happen if blacks as a people would begin to overcome the obstacles that sociologically and politically and economically limit us? What would happen? What would happen? Just think for a minute, y'all. A world devoid of poor black people. Can y'all imagine that? A world devoid of poor, troubled blacks is not in the best interest of mainstream media. No, it's not. You see, it's the troubles and tragedies of black people. I hear it on the news all the time. Everything that goes, all this stuff that happens in North St. Louis. Homicides almost every day. Our troubles and our tragedies provide the most tantalizing morsels for the nightly news. Our troubles and our tragedies provide the tantalizing morsels in this paper that y'all got out here called The World. This paper is a cheap looking little paper, but it makes big money off of nothing but black people's troubles and tragedies. Then you have sick entertainment shows on television where black folk don't have no better sense than to get on national television and air their dirty laundry with each other. Oh man, it would not be in the best interest of mainstream media for us to get it together. And most tragically, the loss of a black underclass is not in the interest of the increasing numbers of black entertainers whose music and routines and characterizations and talk shows are centered on the existence of black pathology. There was a phrase that I think the Marine Corps still uses it. They had it when I was in the Corps, and that phrase is, the Marines are looking for a few good men. Being that today is Father's Day, I'd like to restate that phrase just a little differently and make it applicable to us as people and say, black children are looking for a few good black men. Yeah. Now follow this. All it would take to begin the reversal of our community's decline are a few, not a whole lot, just a few good black men. That's all it would take. If we could get just a few good black men throughout the black communities of America.
All right.
That would begin the reversal of the decline of our communities. Men, black men, who first of all are determined to stand up to bootleg, illegitimate, unauthorized preachers. Brother talked about it this morning. That's why I said you're messing with my message, man. You know? I don't know how many of you heard Sharon on the radio this morning. Brother came up with a serious indictment. To begin the reversal of our predicament in our black communities, all it would take would be a few good black men to firstly stand up to the many bootleg, illegitimate, seriously illegitimate, unqualified, inexperienced, miseducated, unauthorized preachers in the black community. Now I know, don't get me wrong, I know that there are some preachers, in fact there are a few preachers, or many preachers, however you want to say it, who are qualified. Yes, they are. And they are really concerned about the spiritual welfare of our community. So I'm not talking about those few. I wanted to share this joke on the radio this morning when Sharon started talking about the overabundance of black churches within urban America. Not just here in St. Louis, it's everywhere. And for those who did not hear the brother, let me restate what he said. He said between Lucas and Hunt and Kings Highway, that's what you said, right? Those between those streets on Martin Luther King Boulevard, he counted. Is what? On Martin Luther King, right? On Martin Luther King Boulevard here in St. Louis, for those who are listening around the world, between Lucas and Hunt and Kings Highway, which is approximately a 13 block distance, this young man counted 27 churches. Just on one street. And mind you, pretty much between those two cross streets, Lucas and Hunt and Kings Highway, most all of the black businesses are shut down. Only thing that you see pretty much in that area are chop suey, black churches and liquor stores. More black churches than anything, and yet our community is degraded to an embarrassing state. I'm reminded of this joke about a poor black farmer making his rounds in the field one hot summer day. God was hot out there that day. And it seemed that the farmer, after spending so many years with his mule, plowing, poor man, he didn't have a tractor, he had to use a mule to plow that hard, parched dirt under the heat of that hot summer sun. And one day, this man, in his disgust, because the soil was unyielding, he dropped the plow. He decided he had enough of this hard work to economically empower himself. So one day he dropped his plow and looked up in the sky at that hot sun and said, "Lord, this sun is too hot. And this ground is too hard. I do believe this Negro has been called to preach." You get it? Could it be our misfortune, brothers and sisters, that so many black men are still dropping the plow for economic development and empowerment and hearing the call to preach the gospel rather than prepare themselves to make a difference in our community. Rather than to prepare themselves to make a difference as a father. Rather than to prepare themselves to make a difference as an entrepreneur. Rather than to prepare themselves to make a difference as an economic leader in the community, it's easier to say, I believe the Lord called me to preach. Because among black folk, all it takes is a call. That's all it takes. A call from you have no idea who. And if you listen to some of these brothers, you sit and say, well, who called him to the ministry? Our black children are looking for a few good black men who are determined to stand up to politicians. Sell out politicians.
That's right.
And civil rights demagogues. By the way, let me say this about the civil rights demagogues who have never been elected to such an office. Think about what I'm saying to you. Who elected them to be a civil rights leader? Who elected Jesse?
Right. That's right.
Who elected Alfred?
All right.
You know who I'm, Al. Let me say Al. Y'all got it quicker, right? Who elected these brothers? Those who want to jump out front every time an event happens. Who elected them to the position of a civil rights leader? Nobody. Think about it. The position of a civil rights advocate. Those who, mostly I refer to them as photo opportunists, are self-appointed. They took it upon themselves to be a civil rights leader. I didn't ask them to be my leader. But they saw an opportunity out of a tragedy to make a name for themselves or to get into the limelight. And I have not heard yet one civil rights leader, so-called civil rights leader, come with a developed academic or economic plan for financial empowerment in the black community.
Now, by listening to that sermon, you are able to see the perspective that Dr. Ray Hagins was kind of pushing around there, because according to him, and what is there in the ground is that black people have been disenfranchised for quite too long. And it seems there are a lot of corporations and even societal issues that have taken advantage of black people and their low class that has really been there for many years. For example, it talks about the media, it talks about different industries, and it says that if there would be blacks rising and getting empowered financially, then there are certain things that would be rendered obsolete. And that is something that I think we would wish to see in our lifetime. Dr. Ray Hagins, in his sermons, explores the implications of black empowerment and the cessation of systemic disadvantages affecting the black lower class in America. His discourse often revolves around the potential societal shifts if the class were to significantly improve its socioeconomic status. Here is a summary of key points from his lectures. Economic empowerment and redistribution. Hagins suggests that if the black lower class were to elevate, there would be a substantial shift in economic power. This could mean black communities gaining more control over economic resources, which traditionally have been disproportionately held by the white majority. This shift might lead to a reallocation of wealth, challenging the economic dominance of white America. Businesses might need to adapt to new consumer bases and labor markets, potentially disrupting established economic patterns. Political power dynamics. With economic empowerment comes political influence. Hagins envisions a scenario where increased black economic power could translate into a stronger political representation. This might mean more black politicians, policies catering for black interests, and a reevaluation of how political power is distributed. The white majority could see a dilution of their political influence as black community becomes a more formidable voting bloc. Cultural shifts. Hagins foresees a cultural renaissance where black culture, history, and contributions are not only acknowledged but celebrated on a larger scale. This could lead to a re-examination of American history, education, and cultural narratives, which have often been Eurocentric. The white majority might need to adjust to a society where black culture is more central, influencing everything from media to academic curricula. Social and psychological impact. The end of the black lower class would likely result in a change in social dynamics. Hagins argues that the current societal structures benefit from maintaining certain groups at a lower economic level, which can be psychologically stabilizing for the majority. With this structure disrupted, there might be a period of white anxiety or backlash as long-held power dynamics shift. However, it could also lead to a society where racial equality is more tangible, potentially reducing racial tensions and fostering a more inclusive societal fabric. Challenges to white identity and privilege. Hagin points out that the empowerment of black community would challenge the notion of white privilege, forcing redefinition of what it means to be a white in America. This could lead to identity crisis among some in the white community as they navigate a world where their unchallenged dominance in various sectors of society is no longer the norm. In essence, Dr. Hagins' sermon paints a picture of a society in flux, where the empowerment of one segment leads to a rebalancing of power, wealth, culture, and the identity across the racial spectrum. This vision isn't without its challenges, potentially leading to a resistance or adaptation from the white majority, but it fundamentally calls for an imagined America where racial equality is not just an ideal, but a reality. That is all that I can say in that aspect. I think the video speaks for itself, and you as a person can also give your inputs down in the comment section. Remember to subscribe to our channel and also join our membership so that you get access to exclusive content that is designed and tailored just for you. Goodbye.